Hello, good morning. This is John Lampil from the Polytechnic University of the Philippines, currently studying Master of Science in Computer Engineering, focusing in applied cybersecurity and data forensics. Now, we were given a task to do a scientific paper review, and I have chosen the application of fuzzy logic in an academic setup. So the authors for this will be Zahur Ahmad, who's from the Department of Mathematics and Statistics from the University of Lahore. He has his PhD from the University of Southampton in UK, and his skills and expertise are as follows: statistical computing, complex survey data modeling, research methods, and others listed below. Second author will be Serge Juarez. So unfortunately, I'm not able to find additional um, educational background for him, but I'm able to he identify that he's from the Department of Statistics from the University of Gujarat, and is if any of you guys would like to pursue their study or contact them, you can always email him at sir@iman@yahoo.com. So the goals and objectives. The goal of the study is to use and apply fuzzy logic to determine and eliminate the fuzziness in social and logical variables such as age, and particularly on the studies, the previous marks, study timing, and result GPA of the students. Now, to give you a background on what is fuzzy logic, so fuzzy logic is basically an algorithm that we can use to remove fuzziness or vagueness on situations or on logical variables that we have. So for example, in Boolean algebra or Boolean logic, we only have 1 or 0, which means true or false. But for fuzzy logic, we are able to eliminate those vagueness, such as, for example, how true is true or how false is false. So there is this degree, or like the gradients, a gradient in the inputs or on the variables that we will be able to eliminate and identify what will be the best and accurate answer based on those inputs. The study emphasizes and aims to ensure that we understand and we can apply fuzzy logic to process imprecise facts. And based from this, we'll be able to provide a rationality and a definitive answer and decision. The study also introduces fuzzy logic as a new way to express probability, specifically designed to deal with imprecision of facts. Next will be the participants. Now, basically their study aims to identify how does the study timing and the previous marks on previous subjects affects the current and outcome overall GPA of the students. Now, from in their research, they have not mentioned directly that their participants are the students, but based from their inputs and output that they are expecting, we can safely assume that they are getting these raw data from the students in from the university that they are conducting the study. And okay, moving forward. So the data gathering and techniques, they have gathered the data that they need, which is, like I mentioned, study timing and marks on previous programs as their main logical variable inputs. When we say logical variable inputs, we can also say that these are social variable inputs, such as those not be could not be easily computed or calculated by computers. So when we say logical or social, there is something human in nature for those types of information or input or facts. So they have utilized the FIS, or the fuzzy inference system, which is basically means the process of mapping from a given input to an output by means of fuzzy logic. Now, the researchers have utilized the FIS editor as their main tool, but you can also have other tools such as MATLAB. So they have performed this by feeding two input values and having one output value. So they process the data, they plot it, and the fuzzification has been applied, wherein they will be able to get the outcome of the data. The study was done using fuzzy logic, wherein there are values that we can determine as human in nature, which computers cannot perform. So for the data processing, they have entered three variables in the Fizz editor. Two will be the input and one will be the output. So for the inputs, we have study R, percentage of previous degree marks, and the output will be the overall performance GPA. So for example, if we answer this in a Boolean statement of yes or no, or 1 or 0, and we say study hours of 6, so GPA will be average, logical questions arise. If study hours are 6 hours and 5 minutes, does this mean the student will have a GPA of above the average? And if study hours will be 5 hours and 56 minutes, so the GPA will be lower than the average. So this is what I mentioned earlier about the vagueness, which is how true is true and how false is false, wherein clearly Boolean or crisp form will not be able to determine the right or correct answer. So by utilizing if-then rules in fuzzy logic, they are able to have a solution for calculating the accurate outputs from the imprecise inputs. By rule, we human can determine such variables better than computers. So in this technique, in each point of input, we have an output. Now they have mentioned if-then rule. So this literally means if this, then that. If this is your input, if this is your value, then that will be your output. So the methodology, the process consists of two parts such as the fuzzy sets, membership functions, fuzzy logic operators, and if-then rules, like I mentioned. And the researchers were able to develop a fuzzy logic model by providing definitions to the output that they were able to process and narrowing down and defining the data as follows. If study timing is low, previous marks is low, then the GPO will be low. If study timing is average and previous marks um, is low, then GPO is also low and also forward up to if the study timing is average and previous mark is high, then the GPO will be high. Now, after their study, they were able to plot their findings, and they were able to prove that students with a higher study time were the students that have higher GPA as an overall output. Now, looking at the figure below, they were able to support these by plotting or generating a 3D surface from two inputs and one output. So two inputs will be the study time and the previous marks. And the moment that the study timing is is increasing, the overall GPA of the students is also increasing up to the yellow portion of the graph. Now, for the study gaps and opportunities for improvements based on overall research study done by their team, they have used two inputs, which is the study timing and presentation previous marks. But I think for me personally, these logical variables are very good, but not enough to consider and plot the output if a student gets higher GPO or lower. Why? Because particularly the percentage on previous marks, basically these are data from the past that you cannot change anymore, or that these are these are already a constant variable. So for me, if we are trying to identify a present um, result or present output, I'd say we can also use current or present data, such as the availability of materials or availability of resources for the students along with the study timing. So do they have higher outputs after or higher GPO as an output if they have longer study time and have more access to study materials? So that is just one example, but I'm not limiting the recommendations to that, or I'm not saying that the study is not reliable. It is reliable. They have facts, but I think we can also consider different or other input values or logical variables to do the study. And if we can get the same results, then at least we'll have an additional supporting study that can support the claims on the research that if we have a higher study time, then the students are able to get higher outcome overall performance GPA. So that will also be the best opportunity or a great opportunity to improve the study and provide it as an additional published documentation to support the claims of the original study by the authors. So that is all for my PowerPoint presentation, and I hope we are able to identify the points that we are trying to do for this activity, and I hope that we are able to understand how the fuzzy logic was able to help for these kinds of applications for this, particularly in the academic field for the study. So thank you very much for checking this presentation, and I hope you enjoyed and you have a nice day ahead. And thank you very much.